Days where I just can't seem to get along with my husband, Mike. Amidst those days, I heard the sound of a door unlocking and a familiar woman's voice. It was Harper, my sister. Unlike me, she was always loved by our parents. But it wasn't just Harper. Mike was with her too.
Why are you here today?
I quit my job over there. Thought I'd get married.
You're not saying you're gonna marry.
You're as slow to catch on as ever, Harper said with a mocking smile. A defective product unable to conceive. I got pregnant right away. We're finally gonna have a baby. Congrats. But that baby? I started to ask reflexively, then fell silent. Kicked out of the room, I was alone at a cafe, thinking about the future. And I thought, their child is impossible. The documents I had in my luggage told that story. I'm definitely gonna give them a piece of my mind. I muttered in a low voice. My name is Maria Kirk, and I'm 32 years old. A working housewife in my 5th year of marriage. My husband, Mike, is a former senior colleague, 3 years my senior. When we got married, I moved to a different company in the same industry, thinking it might cause problems if we stayed at the same company. I thought we had a marriage where we respected each other to a certain extent. But lately, the atmosphere has been ominous. I know the reason. It's because we haven't been able to have children no matter how much time passes. But it's not just my fault. Yet, it was always me who had to endure unsolicited advice and interference. If it were straightforward malice, that might have been easier to handle. Instead, it was all done under the guise of concern, just meddling for meddling's sake. Both our families spoke in such a manner, which was frustrating. Well, there was one person who was purely malicious. Harper, my sister. Ever since we were little, I was always compared to Harper. Harper is so cute, Maria is such a smart girl. Well, that much was still bearable. You really lack the charm and cuteness compared to Harper. Well, with that face of yours. Poor thing compared to Harper, but maybe try to be a bit more girly? Those were the standard comments from relatives and neighbors. I've known this all too well since I was a child. That's why I tried not to place my value there. Fortunately, I didn't hate studying, so I leaned on being smart to get by. But as I got older, I began to feel the sting in my parents' words. You're of marriageable age now, shouldn't you be more mindful of how you appear? You study so hard without care, you won't get even a single boyfriend, will you? I ignored my parents' words, half seriously, half out of spite. And then there was Harper. You should just stay the way you are. That way, I stand out more, right? Despite being fed up and astonished by various things, I went on to university and then found a job. Gradually, I started dating Mike, a senior colleague, and eventually, we got married. I took this opportunity to switch to a different company in the same industry. I actually preferred my original company, but then came strange pressures from around. Above all, Mike said it as if it was obvious, it's odd for a couple to work at the same company, you should resign. I had my doubts. However, everyone I consulted said the same thing, it would be better for you to resign. The exception was perhaps only the female colleagues. And then, a colleague from the same industry who said that's too bad introduced me to a job at a smaller, but more flexible workplace. Thanks to that, I've been able to continue working in a fulfilling job even after getting married. However, since getting married, both sets of parents have been increasingly vocal about wanting grandchildren. Working so hard. At this rate, we'll never see a grandchild. Take it easy a bit. Mike's earning enough, isn't he? Hurry up and have kids so you can relax. The fact that these words seem devoid of malice makes it all the more troubling. No, they probably mean well. But that's exactly why it's so irritating. The only saving grace is that we live apart from both my parents and in-laws. Still, as the years go by, their insistence has grown stronger, to the point where I even started to think about getting pregnant. So, I began seriously considering having children, went to the hospital to talk about it, and even tried changing my diet. But Mike's attitude has been somewhat passive. Lately, you've been all about that topic, but if you keep it up, I'll lose interest too. Tests? Why do I have to do them? I've explained it each time. We're being pressured by both sets of parents to have children. Considering our age, we'd prefer to have children sooner rather than later. So, I'd like his cooperation for that. Yet, all he says is, kids will come when they come. After about a year of this back and forth, I got angry and practically dragged Mike to get tested. Mike sulked at my attitude and half-heartedly listened to the doctor. And that was the start of an even greater decline in our intimate life. Even if I stay up late waiting for him the night before a day off, I get, "What, you're still up," with a sigh. And to top it off, "I'm just not in the mood with you right now." Certainly, my approach might not have been the best. Having children is something we should think about together. I understand that. Eventually, calls started coming in from in in-laws. "Lately, Mike's been coming over to eat quite often. Is everything all right between you two?"
Wait, he's been going there when he comes home late?
"Yeah, he doesn't seem too eager to come home." "Hey Maria, are you taking good care of him?" Being asked that, I was bewildered. "It's because you all are rushing us." I felt a surge of desire to argue back. After hanging up, I stopped waiting for Mike's return every night. Honestly, I was tired of waiting for Mike. I never thought it would come to this, not when we decided to get married, nor in the early days of our marriage. Mike was a reliable senior colleague at work, a companion with whom I could see a future when we were dating. And at the beginning of our marriage, I believed he was someone with whom I could build a new home. I never imagined I'd come to think it was easier without him around. Eventually, I started to think that if Mike was going to stay out late to avoid coming home, then so be it. I immersed myself more and more in my work. Launching new projects, staying late at night for them. Our house was no longer what you'd call a home. I kept getting calls from my parents and in-laws, still asking about children. But I had started to ignore them. If he wasn't interested, then anything I did would be in vain. I was even losing the sense of why we were living together. Then one day, when I came home, our test results had arrived. By then, I had almost forgotten about them. Thinking about it, it was just a normal waiting period. Yet, in that short time, our relationship had cooled significantly. Even looking at this now. I thought so, but I opened the test results anyway. There were no issues on my side. And when I looked at Mike's, I said, "Huh?" I looked at the document again and again. But no matter how many times I looked, the result was the same. Mike had azoospermia. There was no way we could have children. If that's the case, there's no point in staying married, I thought, almost wanting to laugh. This is hopeless, let's get a divorce. Those words raced through my mind. Just then, I heard the sound of the door unlocking. "Are you really okay with this?" I heard a familiar woman's voice. "Harper?" I was surprised and rushed to the entrance. But there, it wasn't just Harper, Mike was with her too. "Oh, Maria, you're here?"
Why are you two together?
I couldn't think of any reason why these two would come together. After all, Harper had been working in the city center, far from our hometown. "What, you still have that clueless, unfriendly look on your face?" But this snide remark was unmistakably Harper. "Well, anyway, let me in. It's chilly today," she said, taking off her shoes and making her way into the house.
Harper, why are you here today?
"Oh, Maria, didn't you hear from Mom and Dad?"
From Mom and Dad?
"I quit my job there. Thought I'd get married." I hadn't heard anything like that. "Well, but it's no use telling you." "Right," Mike said, wrapping his arm around Harper's shoulder and gently leading her to the living room. "Could it be?"
Harper, you're not saying you're gonna marry.
"You're as slow to catch on as ever. When did this happen?" Harper told me with a mocking smile. "A defective product unable to conceive. I got pregnant right away. We're finally gonna have a baby. Congrats." "But that baby?" I started to ask reflexively, then fell silent. "Got a problem with that?" "No, nothing." "Hey, do your parents know about this?" I told them off. "So? Harper too?" "Well, when I went back to our parents' house, there was Mike." "I see, so that's what happened." This had been going on at my parents' house with these two. Then, there's no point in me being married to him. My feelings must have shown on my face because Harper snapped at me without answering my question, so irritating. "You've always had that attitude. And I'm sick of your know-it-all demeanor too." "Yeah, I'm gonna live here now, so you should just leave." "Right, I don't even want to breathe the same air as you two." I packed my bags and closed the door of the house I lived in with Mike behind me. Dragging my suitcase, I ended up in a random cafe. While having a light meal and searching for a place to stay, I could feel anger bubbling up inside me. "Divorce is fine. I'll do exactly as they wish. I've always done what they wanted, one way or another. But this is the result. I'm done with all of it. Neither my family nor my in-laws have ever protected me. Did my parents not notice anything when Harper and Mike met at their house? No, that can't be it. Surely, when Harper returned after quitting her job, my parents chose Mike's side as a new place for her. Even if it meant kicking me out, both my parents and in-laws would be overjoyed to celebrate the two if they had a child. Those are the people who have been rushing me all this time. But that's impossible. The documents I brought with me tell the story. I'll definitely get back at them. I muttered to myself in a low voice. For now, I decided to have a long-term stay at a hotel. I'll need some time to decide what to do next. With work being busy and on track, even if I rented a place, I wouldn't have time to cook. If it's just for sleeping and waking up, a hotel that does the cleaning for you is much easier. With eating out and laundry services, that's all I need for going back and forth to work. It's much more relaxing than having to constantly think about household chores. And just as I was starting to think that maybe a simple room like this would be fine even after getting divorced, someone came looking for me at the office. Sam? I didn't recognize the name written on the business card passed to me from the reception. Anyway, when I met him, he bowed very politely. I'm really sorry for the trouble Harper and I have caused you, Maria. Does that mean, Sam, you're Harper's? I managed to swallow the words about him being the father of the child in her belly. Yes, we're in a relationship. Even now, at this very moment, she belongs to me. This might be a problematic person. That thought crossed my mind.
What do you want with me?
I'm really sorry about Harper's recent behavior, Maria. Well, it is a nuisance, but I wasn't sure what to say to him. I really want to take Harper back, but she's at your parents' house now, isn't she? That's when I felt something was off. His way of asking left no room for disagreement, yet there was a distance. Are you saying you can't get in touch with Harper right now? That's right. He sighed deeply, looking dejected. For some reason, ever since she quit her job, I've received no replies from her. Even though before, I'd get one back for every 10 messages I sent. Sam showed me his phone screen. I involuntarily let out a small gasp. His messages lined up one after the other. Is he sending one every 5 minutes? And the contents are like, what are you doing now? I was thinking about you, what time are you coming home, and so on. I was amazed he could even function at work with all that going on. Then, without even being asked, he began to tell me about how he and Harper first met. Harper was a senior at my company, and I was under her care in many ways. I had admired her for a long time, but she never showed interest in anyone, just focused on her work for years and years. Could such a woman suddenly come back home and steal her sister's husband? Whether he noticed my internal skepticism or not, Sam continued. Yes, I've had feelings for her for over 10 years. I thought they finally bore fruit 3 months ago. So, that's when you two started dating? We spent the morning together, so yes, I guess. Well, that's a bit ambiguous. But soon after, Harper started making mistakes at work and eventually fell ill, quitting her job without me knowing. I realized I hadn't heard from Harper about why she left her job. Maybe there was some meaning behind it. As Sam rattled on, I listened carefully. So, when I asked a colleague about her health, I wondered. Maybe she was pregnant with my child. Well, Harper is indeed pregnant now. So it was true. He stood up, overcome with emotion, looking up to the sky. It must be fate. It was just one time, and yet she conceived. This must mean we're meant to be together. But Harper ran away from that fate, didn't she? Not at all, she's just shy about my love. Incredible. It's the first time I've seen someone say that with a straight face. Maria, please let me see Harper. I need to properly propose to her. But Harper is currently messing around with my husband, and she claims the child is his. That must be her looking out for my younger self's future. But I'm of age now. I thought, 35 and 34 aren't exactly what I'd call of age. Anyway, this guy is completely devoted to Harper, my sister. I decided to test him a bit. To see how devoted he really is. So, right now I'm thinking about divorcing my husband because of his affair with Harper. You're getting a divorce! At least she's saying there's a child, so something must have happened. That's why I want to file for alimony. Sam immediately responded.
Alimony? How many thousands of dollars are we talking about? If that's the case, I'll pay Harper's share.
Sam, you're wealthy, aren't you? My own question sounded ridiculous to me. Yes, actually, my current company is run by my family. What a revelation. I wanted Harper to know the real me, which is why I hadn't mentioned it until now. However, my father has told me to transfer from the current office to the headquarters. From the way he spoke, it seemed Sam was quite the privileged son. When I mentioned the transfer to Harper, she started responding to my nighttime invitations differently. And then I proposed.
Really?
She accepted at first. But as days passed, she became distant. Could it be that she grew tired of his persistent messages?
Before I knew it, she had quit her job without consulting me.
There's no mistake. She ran away. Maybe she thought she'd be a burden because of the pregnancy. Look, I even prepared a ring. He pulled out a ring with a dazzlingly large gem. Being a burden. I don't think that's the case. I blurted out those words effortlessly. No, it's not about being a burden. Probably, she just couldn't stand him on a visceral level. Harper had always been called beautiful and cute by everyone around her, and indeed she was, so she never lacked male attention. But those men always saw Harper as nothing more than a plaything. And Harper probably never felt like she belonged to anyone. But then there was the child. Unexpected, but considering her age, maybe she was ready to latch onto someone. Upon discovering the true identity of this man who had been pestering her, she got involved but eventually ran away from his overbearing control. He sighed deeply.
I've always loved Harper. Just when I thought she had accepted me. When I started to talk about marriage seriously, she disappeared. I thought my parents might have forced her back, so I came here. Maria, could you please lead me to Harper?
Honestly, I was taken aback by his one-sided torrent of words. But it seemed like this guy could be of use to me. Okay, I understand. But I have one favor to ask. I said, smiling sweetly at Sam. Then, I hired a lawyer and gathered Mike, Harper, and both sets of parents for a discussion. The venue was a room in a hotel. Not the cheap hotel I was staying in, but a proper hotel's small conference room. Quite the fancy hotel for you. Not bad taste. It was just me, the lawyer, Mike, Harper, and our parents, 6 of us facing each other. A set of coffee and tea prepared by the hotel was placed in front of everyone, emitting a very pleasant aroma as it's usually served in the hotel's cafe. In this atmosphere, my hired lawyer began the discussion. Thank you all for gathering today. Regarding the divorce case of the Kirk couple, let's first confirm that both parties agree to the divorce. Mike then confidently replied with a clear face. Of course. Harper is pregnant. There's no point in staying married to Maria, who hasn't shown any signs of pregnancy no matter how long we wait. The two exchanged glances then smiled at each other. The lawyer, ignoring the mood, continued. Maria will be filing for alimony against Mike.
Alimony?
My mother-in-law exclaimed.
What? It's all Maria's fault for not getting pregnant despite our support. Now you're saying Mike is to blame? Exactly, Maria.
My father chimed in.
And you can't even be happy for your sister having a child?
Why would they think like that? I was appalled. So, you're saying you don't want to pay alimony? I stated bluntly.
No, that's not what we're saying. If you think a child is coming, then that's an admission of engaging in an affair, isn't it?
Mike stumbled over his words.
I believe the amount I'm asking for in alimony is fair, isn't it? It's not like I'm asking for something outrageous like $20,000.
Then, I had the lawyer present the amount of alimony to Mike.
Well, I didn't say I wouldn't pay.
Mike grimaced at the amount. You'll pay, then?
Yeah.
He seemed relieved that the amount was less than he feared. He readily signed the divorce papers the lawyer presented. Then, please take care of this.
Wait a minute.
Harper called out to the lawyer as he was about to leave.
Just the alimony to Mike, is that okay? I don't have to pay anything to Maria? Harper. You don't need to ask that. You're jobless and pregnant.
Oh, Harper, it's fine. I quickly responded, sipping my tea. Harper sighed exaggeratedly and turned to me with a smile. Oh, good. You're being kind for a change. Me, kind? I put down my teacup on the table and smiled slightly. Hey, sister, can you still say that after seeing this?
What?
I handed Harper the envelope containing the test results I had received earlier.
What's this?
As Harper rifled through the papers, her expression gradually changed.
What the hell is this?
Mike, you shouldn't look. Harper tried to hide the documents from Mike. I interjected, Mike, that's the result of the test you took before. I took it with me when I left. I thought I'd give it back to you today, I told him firmly.
Test, what?
After a moment's thought, Mike snatched the documents from Harper.
This is...
Stunned, he alternated his gaze between the documents and me. As you can see, you have azoospermia. What? Both sets of parents murmured in confusion.
That means there's no way a child could be between you and Harper.
It's impossible.
Is that true, Mike? Let me see that.
The documents were passed from hand to hand among my in-laws. Mike cradled his head right there.
So, that means...
Mother's gaze shifted to Harper's belly.
Harper, you tricked me?
Mike asked Harper in a voice as if crawling on the ground.
That's not true, I love you. Whether you love me or not doesn't matter. It's clear the child isn't mine. What's going on here? Whose child is it? That is... Answer me.
Then, as if on cue, a loud knock on the conference room door sounded. Come in, the lawyer said, standing up.
I'll take it from here. Is that so? Then, I'll go submit the paperwork.
Please do. And who came in was... Hey. Harper. Finally found you. What a cheerful voice. With a bright red bouquet of roses, Sam entered the conference room with a beaming smile.
Finally found my beloved.
Harper shrieked and scooted back in her chair, letting out a high-pitched scream. Retreating until she was cornered against the wall, Harper finally managed to speak.
What are you doing here? Why would you ask me that? Oh no, running away from me is futile.
Sam approached Harper slowly, smiling widely, holding the large bouquet.
After all, I was the one who reserved this hotel conference room today. What? Wait, Maria, you know this guy?
Harper glared at me with an intense look. I sighed deeply.
Didn't you find it strange that I would reserve a conference room in such a nice hotel?
Indeed, Harper had commented it was unusual for me. If it were up to me, I would have used a conference room at the hotel where I was staying. There's no way I could afford such a place with a solid table, flowers in the corner, and coffee and tea brought from a proper cafe. There's no way I could afford something like that. Let me introduce you. This is Sam. He came to my office the other day, worried about Harper. Yes, I was worried, he said, placing the impressive bouquet of flowers he had been holding in front of Harper. An impressive bouquet of flowers. Could there be about 100 flowers in that bouquet? Sam stood in front of Harper, leaning against the wall and looking down at her.
Harper, were you planning to give away my child to someone else? Or were you thinking of raising it alone without telling me?
At those words, both sets of parents were shocked.
So, that means... You're the real...
Sam, not paying any attention to the stunned audience, continued to talk rapidly to Harper.
I truly love you from the bottom of my heart. Why won't you believe me? Yes, it was 10 years ago when I first met you.
Everyone was dizzy and frozen solid from the barrage of words that kept coming. With his refreshing machine gun talk, Sam went from how the two met to things that made you want to interject. You remember that too? The way he told it was quite compelling, leaving me half exasperated and half impressed, listening yet again. Eventually, Sam took Harper's hand, trying to slip on the ring he had taken out. Stop it. Regaining her senses at the sight of the glittering gem, Harper shook off his hand and vehemently shook her head.
No! You're not it! It's decided! Why not? As I said, I will not let you want for anything. My parents have been worried about me not finding a marriage partner for a long time. But now they can rest easy. And to have a child too. No, wait, Maria, you set this up.
Goosebumps were visible on her wrists and neck. This is, well, truly something one can instantly tell is genuinely disliked just by looking at it.
It sounds bad when you say I set it up. After I ran away. Why did you bring him here?
Because he said he would cover any amount of alimony for me. I glanced at our parents. "Once again, this is who I am," he said, presenting his business card and then placing the ring back in its case. My father was astounded by the title written on the business card, and my mother was dumbfounded by the size of the gem on the ring.
Wow!
And then, those who were trying to protect Harper from us suddenly let go of their hands.
What, Dad, Mom? Sorry, Harper, but we really can't cover for you anymore. And he's the heir to the company group you were working for. That might be true, but even so.
It seemed the fact that it was physiologically repulsive to her got through to our parents.
So, you're saying you approve of our marriage? Well, yes. It's better for the child to have its real father, isn't it? Dad. Mom.
Harper cried out for help, but our parents were already shaking hands with Sam. "Thank you very much." "Then, Maria, I will make sure to pay the alimony in full later," he said, and then, despite Harper's reluctance, he thrust the bouquet into her chest and swiftly picked her up.
No!
Harper tried to resist with all her might, but nobody made a move to help. And then, as someone who had been waiting opened the door, Sam left the room with Harper. I thought I heard Harper's screams fading away, but that's none of my concern now. Shall we conclude here?
Maria!
Suddenly, Mike called out to me. "What?
Can't we start over?
What are you talking about?" I took out my phone and called the lawyer who had just left. "Hello, how are things on your end?" "Yes, Maria, it has been officially accepted." The lawyer called me by my maiden name. During all this commotion, the lawyer had gone to the city office to submit the divorce papers.
"It was wrong from the start when you told me to quit that company and go somewhere else." "Did I really say that?"
I'm astounded. "Well then, I'll be looking forward to the alimony."
"Wait, Maria! I was wrong, please."
"It's too late now." And with that, I too left the conference room. Since then, Mike has gone back to his parents' house and continues to pay me alimony as part of our property division. I've heard through the grapevine that his parents' house has been in a gloomy state ever since. They never expected their pride and joy to have azoospermia. It must be a hard pill for my former in-laws to swallow. They've repeatedly suggested Mike go to the hospital for treatment, but he finds the idea burdensome and is considering leaving home again. But that's not all. Rumors that he cheated on his wife with her sister and got divorced have spread within his company, and he's been questioned about his morals by upper management, effectively blocking his path to promotion. Incidentally, the source of those rumors was my former colleagues. They were unhappy that I had to move to a different company when we got married and quickly spread the word about our divorce, eagerly smearing Mike's reputation. It seems his previous claims that the inability to conceive was my fault have backfired, as the fact of his infertility has also been widely disseminated. As for Harper and our parents,
"Please, somehow get Harper to meet with Sam. Talk to him for me."
my mother often calls with such requests. Sam, since then, has whisked Harper away to his family home and hastily registered their marriage. Besides the alimony he promised to pay, an equal amount was transferred to me as a thank you. He also frequently sends messages with photos attached, titled "Today's Harper." Though not as frequently as the ones meant for Harper, which I forward to our parents. Not out of kindness, of course. After all, the photos don't reveal where their daughter is. They come crying to me, but I consistently ignore their calls. They thought they could get close to Sam's family, but it hasn't been that easy. It seems all he wanted was Harper and the child she's carrying, treating my parents merely as a means to an end. Even if they kicked up a fuss about it being kidnapping, since the parents had consented to the marriage, there's nothing more they could do. Unable to maintain a relationship with my wealthy in-laws, all they can do now is watch as their favorite daughter's photos show her becoming increasingly haggard day by day. See you tomorrow. Hey, are you staying late again? Yes. I just want to do a bit more research before I go. Since then, I've moved out of the hotel and into a condo. It's not very spacious, but I splurged on a comfortable bed for a good night's sleep just for myself, making it my own little sanctuary. Thanks to that, minimal cleaning is required. Work has picked up, with trips increasing, and sometimes I'm away for half the month. But these days are truly fulfilling. I don't know what the future holds, but for now, I want to enjoy working on my own.